It is time, once again, to go card by card through the new Spotlight decks from Star Wars Unlimited. This time it's Legends of the Force. We're going to start out with the Darth Maul one. I've got the Qui-Gon one here as well. Thanks again to Fantasy Flight for sending these out to us. And we're going to do what we did last set. So just check them out. These are great ways to get into the game if you haven't played Star Wars Unlimited before. And if you had, either way, we're going to be able to check out these decks and what they have in them. And yeah, so, I always open them from the top and then I'm like, oh, you have to actually open them from the bottom if you want to get the decks out. They make it tricky to open these. I don't know. Maybe it's an anti-theft thing. I have no idea, but either way, we got it done. So here is, again, I like the paper packaging. We also have a Legends of the Force booster, too, that we can open. You've got some basic tokens for the game, 1s, 5s, and 10s. I'm glad they're including the 5s now. Way back when, they didn't include the 5s. And you've got your initiative token, too. You've got your epic action token here as well. But you know what? Like I said, we're going to go through card by card here, but I got to open the pack first, right? You got to open the pack first. What's it going to be? Maybe we'll get ultra lucky, get a showcase. No, we're just going to get a Kit Fisto, which is a really, really fun leader that I've been having a ton of fun testing. Oh, we do have, very nice, a Hyperspace Night Sister Lair. Looks very, very cool. We've got our Youngling Padawan, great card for just getting the Force early on. We've got our Medical Frigate, got Lothcat, Hyperspace Ravening Gundark. All right, nice. Exegol Patroller. Tons of fun. Grappling Guardian. Thralls of the Coven. Sure, why not? Oh, actually, this might not be terrible in my third sister deck that I've been kind of testing a little bit. Got to think about that one. Village Tender. Talons Assassin. Depa Balaba. And Nameless Terror. Not bad. And Keller and Beck is going to be one of our uncommons. Very cool. And what's our rare? Kit Fisto's Aether Sprite. All right, so a little bit of upgrade hate there for a rare. And then Purrgil King, we did get a foil rare as well, so a double rare pack. Not bad. I love that we got the Purrgils in this set. That's kind of fun. So that's enough of that, though. Without any further ado, let's go card by card through the Darth Maul deck. So Darth Maul, as a leader, we're going to check him out first and go through that. Here's our deck right here. Let's look at the leader first. We've got Darth Maul. Aggression, villainy, action, use the Force, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a different unit. So in Star Wars Unlimited, there's a rule that says do as much as you can with the card, basically. So with this ability, you don't need to have 2 units out on the board to use it. Some people have seen that and been kind of mistaken with it. It might have happened on our podcast we talked about the first time, but let's not talk about that right now. So basically, if there's 1 unit out there, you can just do 1 damage to that and forget the other part of it. Now, the thing to remember is that if there are 2 units out and one of them is your opponent's and one of them is your unit, then you are going to have to do a damage to your unit as well, which sometimes, if it's a unit with something like Grit, is a good thing. So you might not always want to avoid damage on your own units, but it is something to think about. Flips on 6, and on the flip side, it is a 5/6 Force Sith leader unit. And then on attack, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a different unit. So same thing for the flip side as well. Same thing goes, though, where if you've only got Darth Maul on your side and they've got a unit on their side, you're going to have to do a damage to Darth Maul. So he can take himself out on attack. So you got to be a little bit careful. But either way, it's a good sort of board control leader. It's a pretty decent stats for flipping on 5, and I think a strong leader in general. So we're going to go ahead and put that off to the side. Going to look at the base that it comes with. It comes with the Shadowed Undercity. When a friendly Force unit attacks, the Force is with you. This is kind of indicative of the common bases we see in the set, 25 or 28 HP rather, and then gaining the Force when you attack with a Force unit. Now, what is the Force, you say? Well, the Force is, forget midichlorians. It's actually this. It's actually a token that says the Force is with you. So basically, this is a one-use resource that you can get off and on throughout the game, either via the base or via other cards that give it to you. And then there are other cards in the game that say, use the Force, meaning spend this token and do X or Y. So sometimes a card's when played ability or on attack ability requires you to have and use your Force token. By the way, I really love the look of these tokens. I love that you've got the kind of tree coming around here, and you've got Obi-Wan and Yoda checking out the X-Wing rising. Very, very neat. On the other side, we have Darth Maul Tips and Tricks. Oh, this is neat. They didn't have this before. Let's read these. Force units that cost 2 or less are great to play on turn 1. Yeah, that's a good idea, as they can get you the Force token early. That's right. You can use your first action on your second turn to attack and get the Force. Damage is damage, right? Even if an attack or ability doesn't defeat an enemy unit now, it may make that unit more vulnerable to effects. That is also very true, especially if we're paired with blue. That gives a lot of minus strength sometimes, minus HP. Darth Maul likes to use the Force many times throughout the game. If you don't have an easy way to get your Force token back, it's sometimes worth waiting to use it. Oh, that's a good thing. The Force is a finite resource in that you have to find a way to get it back once you use it. Here's some... Oh, those were tips. Here are some tricks. Darth Maul's leader ability must target 2 units, which means you may have to hit your own units. We already talked about that, but it's good that they put this on the card just for the sake of newer players that are, maybe a little bit confused about it. And then it says many units in Darth Maul's deck are stronger when damaged, like Scimitar. Ah, there you go. Use Darth Maul's ability to damage them and an enemy unit at the same time. So, just like we were saying, sometimes you're going to want to hit your own units to do a little bit of damage there. All right, here's our experience token. I like it. Very, very neat. And we've got shield token. Oh, very cool. Shield tokens are the swinging lightsabers. I've looked at some of these, but these are some of the first times I've seen the cards kind of in hand. We've got Ogdo Bogdo, 3 cost, 5/5. So massive stats for the cost, but it says this unit can't attack unless damaged. I wonder if we have a card that can damage our units. Hey, turns out our leader can do that. So Darth Maul leader, easy way to turn this on. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, heal 2 damage from this unit. So you'll want to generally use your Darth Maul leader ability before attacking with this, obviously, because, if it's healed up, it can't attack, right? So you need to find a way to deal damage to it kind of consistently each turn. And that's not bad with the leader ability, right? You're still getting to do 1 damage to a unit on the other side. You're enabling this attack. I think Ogdo Bogdo is a pretty strong rare to include in this deck. Only a 1 of, but very scary. Ogdo Bogdo goes over there. Next we have another rare. We've got Pong Krell, 7 for a Vigilance Villainy Force Jedi Republic, 2/9 with Grit. And remember, Grit is the keyword that says whatever HP this unit is lacking, it gains that much attack, right? So if there are, say Pong Krell has taken 2 damage, then it has 4 attack, right? So also good with the Darth Maul leader ability, of course. When this unit completes an attack and survives, you may defeat a unit with less remaining HP than this unit's power. So you want to put some damage on Pong Krell and then attack with him and then defeat the units. So, potentially something very strong there. Now we've got another rare. This is from the 3rd set. This is Count Dooku, 8 for a 6/6. Yep. Exploit 2. So exploit is you can defeat one of your own units, and for each unit you defeat this way, you can reduce the cost of this unit by 2. So you exploit 2 of your own units, you reduce this guy to just 4 costs, so then you're paying 4 for a 6/6. It can get pretty good. It's got Overwhelm, which means when you attack something and your damage that you're doing to the unit is higher than its remaining HP, the leftover damage goes to the opponent's base. It's basically Trample if you come from the Magic the Gathering world. When played, for each unit you exploit while playing this card, you may deal damage to an enemy unit equal to the power of the exploited unit. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're going to want to exploit cheap stuff because you're not going to need it that much anymore. But this is a really great card for just doing some board clear, too. A strong card that I'm actually surprised didn't see more play in Standard in the Premier version of the game. All right, we've got our Sith Holocron. This is an upgrade, so you attach it to a friendly unit. It has to be a Force unit in this particular case. Attached unit gains on attack. You may deal 2 damage to a friendly unit. If you do, this unit gets +2/+0 for the attack. So you can damage other units to buff the unit holding the Holocron. You can also damage the unit holding the Holocron, but that obviously presents a little bit more risk. But either way, it is more opportunities to use damage on your own units for more attack. That's kind of the theme of this deck, is how can you safely damage your units to give yourself an advantage. And I should mention, too, as I drop that one, I should mention, too, the Spotlight decks are I think still good for newer players, but they're not as easy to use as some of the original 2-player starter sets that came out in the game, which are still totally relevant too. So if you're really new, maybe you want to pick up one of those 2-player starter sets. I would say if you're experienced with card games in general, but you've never played Star Wars Unlimited, these decks are still perfectly fine to pick up. You're going to get the concepts pretty quickly. Fallen Lightsaber, 3 for a 3/3 buff on a non-vehicle unit. If attached unit is a force unit, it gains on attack, deal 1 damage to each ground unit the defending player controls. So nice AoE damage there, and just a good buff too. 3/3 for 3 is strong. Watch out for upgrade removal with that, but it is still pretty good. Now we have some of our multiples here. We have a full set of Witch of the Mist. This is 1 for a 1/3 force and knight, and it's hidden as well. So this unit can't be attacked if it was played this phase. So a little bit safer to play because, again, you want to gain the force by attacking with a force unit. Remember, that's what our base requires here, right? When a friendly force unit attacks, the force is with you. You would get this force token, right? There you go. So 3 of those I think is a good include here. I'll put that there. I'm just kind of setting these out here. I don't really have a plan for it, but it'll work out. We've got 2 Caris. So one short of a playset with this, but it's only an uncommon, so you open a couple packs and you're going to get some more probably. 2 for a 2/4. When defeated, you may use the force, so using that force token. If you do, give a unit -2/-2 for this phase. So that's a pretty powerful when defeated early on in the game. So this is another one of your good first turn plays because you can play it, then attack with it as your first action in the next phase, gain the force, and then if they take it out, you can do that nasty -2/-2 to something on their side. So again, just pretty strong little ability there. We've got a set of 3 Night Sister Warriors. This is 2 for a 2/2, and then when defeated, draw a card. Card draw is not to be underestimated in this game. It's a pretty strong thing just in general, so always good to have. Not bad. Just a way to kind of keep some hand sustain going. And then we have, looks like, 2 Acolyte of the Beyond. So 2 for a 2/3 Sith unit, not force. Keep in mind, if you attack with this, you will not gain the force token because it doesn't have force, though. On attack / when defeated, the force is with you. So you might not get it by virtue of the base, right, because it's not a force unit. However, it just has an on attack that gives you the force, which is nice. So you still do generate it on attack, just not in the traditional way you would with other force units. It does have the added bonus of when defeated, the force is with you. So again, how you order using the force and using the things on board is very important with this set, and this is such a great example of it, right? You want to attack and then maybe use a different card that uses the force, or use your Darth Maul leader ability that uses the force, and then when they kill your unit, you get the force right back again. So you have it ready to go for your next phase, or for maybe something else you're playing if it's later in the game and you have more resources. So something to keep in mind, right? We have a set of 3 strike ships. 2 for a 0/3 with Raid 3. I really like this. It's a really cool unit. And again, I keep thinking about Third Sister when I look at this kind of stuff, but that's a whole different video, so we won't talk about that too much. But either way, it's got Raid 3, so it gets +3 attack when attacking. Raid is basically it gets attack equal to the amount of raid when attacking. So very, very vulnerable as far as being attacked goes, but when attacking, usually you get more bang for your buck there, right? Because it's essentially a 2 for a 3/3. And then Overwhelm as well, which we talked about earlier. So just a nice little strong space unit to throw up there and annoy your opponent with early on. I like that. This is kind of an exciting card in the set. It's the Infused Brawler, 2 for a 2/2. When played, you may use the Force, use that Force token. If you do, give 2 experience tokens to this unit. Remember, the experience tokens are those +1/+1 upgrades. So you give it 2 of this, so it ends up being a 4/4. When this unit completes an attack, defeat an experience token on it. So it's a temporary buff, hence the infused part of this. But at the same time, I feel like this is a really nice turn 2 play if you have this and then like a 1-drop, or this and then use the Maul ability just to kind of conserve your actions, just to play something a little bit over-statted for the cost, at some point in the game. So I think that's a card that's honestly going to show up in some lists. It's pretty neat. And we have our just 2 of these. 2 Kylo Rens. There he is. 2 for a 2/3 with Overwhelm. When you play an upgrade on this unit, you may use the Force. If you do, draw a card. Now remember, we do have a couple upgrades in the Sith Holocron and the Fallen Lightsaber, so there will be opportunities to possibly use this, and this does make the Kylo unit a little bit better late game. It's fine to play on your first turn as a 2 for a 2/3 with Overwhelm. That's okay. But down the road, you might be able to use the Force to get that card draw, which again, it's always nice to refill your hand. All right, then we have Marin, 2 of these. I like that they have a lot of 2-ofs in these Spotlight decks. In Star Wars Unlimited, you're able to have up to 3 of in a deck, but I like that we're basically getting a lot of different things to play around with, and 2 of in a 50-card deck is still fairly consistent, so you're not worried about, never seeing it. This is 3 for a 2/5, so decent HP on this one. And then on attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, deal 2 damage to a unit. So what's nice about this is that we've already seen there's a good amount of draw in this deck. There's a good amount of ways to refill your hand. So that lets cards like this, discard without worrying so much. Dealing 2 damage to a unit might mean the difference between winning and losing a game, right? So this is an ability not to be underestimated. All right. Here is one of my favorite cards in the set, I think, in blue. And we do get 3 of them, so that's really great that they included that. It is just a common, but it's nice to have 3 of them right off the bat. 4 for Talons Assassin. 4 for a 4/4. When played, you may use the Force. If you do, give a unit -3/-3 for this phase. So you either make something much weaker, or you just straight up take it out. Because if a unit has 0 HP, it's just dead, right? So you can kill your opponent's units with negative stats, too. So 3 of these, I think, is really important. I think this is a great use of your Force. Remember, if you already have another Force unit out, you could play this, use the Force to do the -3/-3, then attack with your other Force unit that's already out, get the Force back again because of your base, and then still have the Force left over that turn to use Darth Maul's ability too. So again, Force economy, how to use that Force token effectively is going to be really important. We have a bit of an oddball in this list now that I look at it. Chirrut Imwe, not a bad guy at all, but not a Jedi either, so I guess we're going to put him in just Vigilance here. 4 for a 3/5, Sentinel is always nice, and then when this unit is attacked, you may use the Force. If you do, the attacker gets -2/-0 for this attack. So he makes himself a lot more durable by potentially reducing the attack that comes his way. So another good use of the Force if you find yourself in a situation where you need to be a little bit more defensive. This is a little bit of a surprising card in the deck, I gotta say. But, we are a little bit more on the mid-rangey side. We're not really aggro with this. We're more kind of playing tempo here. So I don't think that's bad. Now, here's one you get a full set of. In Props of Fantasy Flight, for all the special cards, all the cards that come only in these Spotlight decks, you always get a full playset, so you don't need to do something silly like buy multiple starter decks just to get a full playset of like 1 or 2 cards. Other companies take note. But we got Darth Tyrannis here. 4 for a 4/3 shielded, so it gets that shield token, which is really nice early on. And then while the Force is with you, this unit gains ambush, so it gets to attack a unit when it comes into play. Can't attack bases, but being able to attack a unit and have the shielded ability, so either you attack something and you live, then you put the shield on it, or you put the shield on it first, then you do the ambush, because remember, we have multiple when played abilities here, and as the active player playing the card, you get to choose the order in which those happen, which gives you a lot of flexibility with a card like this. And what I really love about this card too is that it just says while the Force is with you. You don't need to use your Force token to make this happen. You just need to have it, right? And so you can play this, take advantage of the Force token that you have, and then still have it later on for using in the turn. So really, really great card in the set. I think this is going to show up in a good amount of Premier decks anyway. So if nothing else, this card alone I think is a reason to pick up this Spotlight deck. But it's also just good in the Spotlight deck too. Getting into our other special cards here. Our second one, in the Scimitar, the 4 for a 3/4 Sith Vehicle Transport. I always love the way this ship looked, by the way, back in like episode 1 and all that. While the ship is damaged, it gets +3/+0. So remember, if you use your Darth Maul leader ability, damage something on their side of the board, sure, but then hit this too, because suddenly it's hitting for 6 damage, right? And it's still got 3 HP remaining, so it's still going to be kind of annoying for your opponent to take out in space. So I really, really like this one. This is another card that I think legitimately could appear in some competitive decks. So a great addition to the Spotlight deck. One of your power cards for sure, but then also just, I think, a good card in general. Moving on to our 2 of Thraws of the Coven. 5 for a 3/7. We got one of these in the booster pack too, but it is one of the ones I like. Raid 3. So when attacking, it could be a 6/7. So just straight up on attack, overstated for the cost. Otherwise, let's focus a bit better here. Come on, phone cam. All right. And the Raid 3 is just kind of nice. Durable at 7 HP as well, so you can afford to take a hit and be fine. All right, we've got Savage Oppress. Savage. Sounds like a cologne, but it's actually Darth Maul's brother. 6 for a 9/6, so he's super powerful. He's got Overwhelm, however, big double-edged sword on this one. When played / when defeated, so that means this occurs when the card is played and when it is defeated. You may use the Force. If you don't, deal 9 damage to your base. So he hits you hard. You, the Darth Maul player, very hard if you don't have the Force token ready. So potentially very strong, potentially a game-ending card in that he can do basically a third of your opponent's base health in one swing. But if you are not ready to, use the Force and have that around when he dies, especially, you could potentially take 19 or 18 damage. So be careful with this one. I personally think too big of a risk for too little of a reward. But I would say maybe in a couple liters it could work. That said, really just fun kind of power card in this one. Don't be afraid to play it, but be a bit afraid to play it. All right, here we have our third special card in this one. So that means we do get the full play set. It's Darth Cyius. 8 for a 6/8. Restore 2, so you get a little bit of healing here, which is nice. If in case you just took 9 from your Savage Oppress, I suppose. When played, you may use the Force. If you do, defeat each non-Sith unit with 3 or less remaining HP. So really good at clearing a lot of small things from the board, unless there's Sith on the other side. But, that's unlikely unless you're playing specific decks, right? So potentially just a good closer kind of card. And a really interesting one in blue, too. I'm kind of curious about using this in other decks. We do have our, final special card. Our final special card in this deck, Darth Maul's Lightsaber. 3 for a 4/2 buff upgrade attached to a friendly non-vehicle unit. When played, if the attached unit is Darth Maul, you may attack with him. So you get to conserve actions there. You get to play this and attack right away if you are playing it on Darth Maul. For this attack, he gains Overwhelm and can't attack bases. So Overwhelm, again, can theoretically give you a good amount of damage to units. But not being able to attack bases, it's a small drawback when you consider the +4 buff. So again, if you play this on your leader Darth Maul, which is the only one in the deck, it will be 9 attacks. So yeah, you're going to do a good amount of damage to their base with the Overwhelm either way. So, and he's going to have 8 health, so he's going to survive a couple hits. So I do like that. It's kind of a fun card to include there. And finally, we have a couple events here in the deck. We have Drain Essence, deal 2 damage to a unit, the Force is with you. So kind of a neat little cheap event just to do a bit of damage and generate the Force token. There's not a lot of ways to generate the Force token outside of attacking with a Force unit in this deck, and this is a good one since it just lets you do a little damage on the other side. Not bad at all. And then we have our final 2 cards, 2 of Force Choke, a classic set 1 card. Pay 2. If you control a Force unit, this event costs 1 less to play. So you can, in theory, play it for 1 sometimes. Deal 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit. That unit's controller draws a card. So sure, you give them a card draw, but doing 5 damage to a unit, essentially blowing up a lot of the early to mid-tier units in exchange for giving the card is generally worth it. In a game where actions go back and forth, trades, sequencing, that kind of thing really matters. This is a card you still see showing up in a good amount of Premier decks, so I think it's a good addition here, 2 of those. So there you go. There is our Darth Maul deck. So again, I think just general tips and tricks. I agree with what they put in on the back of the Force token. It kind of says it all here, but just to go over things a little bit card by card, I think cards like this very early are great to play since you get to generate the Force. Obviously, any of your 2-drops that generate the Force are going to be useful to you. Things like Caris, I think, are going to be one of your number 1 turn 1 plays just because the -2/-2 when defeated is really strong, especially when you compare it with using Darth Maul. You can take out something that has 3 health, right? Or theoretically, something that has 5 health, I suppose, right? If Caris attacks into it, Caris attacks into it, does 2 damage to it. On the when defeated, you use the Force, and I guess you'd have to have the Force twice with that. But either way, you can kill something fairly strong with that. Nice upgrades early on, some good power cards in here. So just overall a good, I'm going to play like my best card every turn. I'm going to try to chip away at their opponent's unit life with my leader ability, and then I'm going to come in for big swings in the late game. The one sort of standout red flag in this deck is definitely Savage Oppress. Just be really careful when you play this one. This one will lose you the game if you play it incorrectly. So be cautious with that one. Otherwise, I think you've just got like a lot of good cards and a pretty straightforward way to play it. So, and a really kind of fun deck to play in that it's going to make you really think about good Star Wars Unlimited fundamentals in terms of the ordering of doing things. I think this set in general, the Legends of the Force set, is going to be very good for teaching new players the fundamentals of the game in terms of sequencing, right? Such an important thing in this game. And so I think this list is going to be really good for playing that. So definitely a great deck to pick up if you're looking at trying out Star Wars Unlimited. Otherwise, if you're already a longtime player like me, you're going to be glad to have it, either to just sleeve up and have on the side as a fun thing to pull out with people who haven't played the game before, or as a great resource to get some of these really nice special cards that come with it too. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Join our Discord as well, Star Wars or icecaveradio.com. We've got the links to the Discord there. We've got a great community of about 500 or so people who are always talking about the games, playing games. Check out that YouTube channel already. I guess you're already on it, but I think I'm going to post this on my personal one too. So if you're on my personal channel, definitely check out the other channel as well with where that logo is from. There you go. But thanks for watching, everybody. That has been the Legends of the Force Darth Maul Spotlight Deck. Go check it out. Have a good one.